Hey everybody, this is Sonia with Melanin Goddess Life. Today is Tuesday, April the 14th. Happy Tuesday. I hope everyone is safe and healthy and happy and feeling pretty good this evening. I wanted to come to you today with a short video because I've gotten this question a few times and I kind of wanted to address it just really quickly. The question is always to me is, do you need an altar or an altar space to practice your chosen divinity? The short answer to that is no, you don't. However, do you need an altar to practice your chosen divinity or your spirituality or whatever you choose to practice? I would say you should have an altar to practice. Okay. And I know that's kind of like a contradiction or anything, but of course, you don't need any type of spiritual altar of any type, any shrine or anything to practice your chosen divinity. As I always say, your spirituality lies within yourself. So wherever you choose to meditate, to manifest, to call on your chosen divinity, to communicate with your ancestors, you can do that anywhere in any space. However, I believe that having a sacred spiritual space that's specifically for your practicing your spiritual practices, whatever they may be, I think it is beneficial to you to have a space of that nature. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to define what is a spiritual altar. And the definition basically says, an altar is a place of sacrifice and a power point to draw spiritual and supernatural strength. Altars are places of separation where we separate ourselves to God and separate from curses and generational traits. I'm going to read it one more time. An altar is a place of sacrifice and a power point to draw spiritual and supernatural strength. Altars are places of separation where we separate ourselves to God and separate from curses and generational traits. So basically, in a nutshell, for me, I believe having an altar space or a spiritual area, or whatever you want to call it, but just a place that is designated for you to practice your spirituality, to practice your tarot readings, your astrology, whatever it is that you practice. I believe it's very important to have that space set aside. One of the reasons I believe it's good to have it set aside, because that space is going to be cleansed and it's going to have your energy in that space, because you're going to be the only person working in that space. So you don't have to worry about someone coming along and disturbing any of your spiritual tools that you're using, whether it's your candles, whether it's incense, whether it's herbs or oils. If it's in a particular space, you don't have to worry about anybody disturbing it, because you're going to be the only person using that space. Another reason I think an altar is, and I'm just going to say altar, you can call it whatever you want to, or spiritual space or sacred space, but I'm going to just call it an altar. Another reason I think an altar is a good space for you is because it helps you kind of focus in on what you're working on, as opposed to if you're trying to do a meditation, or you're working with your candles or whatever it is you're working with, and each time you get ready to work with those things, you have to find a different space. It kind of throws you off maybe sometimes as far as concentration and being prepared to do the work. If you have a sacred space, you know that's where you're going to do your work, and you're focused and you're ready, and you don't have to scramble around trying to make arrangements to make a, like a makeshift altar or a makeshift space for you to practice your spiritual practice. Another thing is, for me, I have 3 different altars. I have an ancestral altar, I have a money altar, and I have a moon altar. Now, of course, you don't have to have all these altars. If you choose if you choose to have an altar, and you decide, hey, I'm gonna make a sacred space where I'm going to do my work, or I'm going to do my meditation, or whatever you're going to do, you don't have to have all these different altars. That is just me. Or you can have as many altars as you want. When I first started with altars, I started with an ancestor altar because it's very important for me to connect with my ancestors. They are my guides. They are my protectors. They are the people that I go to when I'm trying to get clarity on a situation. So I wanted to make sure that I had a sacred space for them, that I can honor them. I can show them love, I can show them protection, and I can just have them in this one space and their energy is right there for me. So I started with an ancestor altar. And as my spirituality grew and I started to branch off into other areas, I was using that space, my ancestor altar, to do a lot of work, which for me, I didn't feel like some of the work that I was doing was work that I would want to have, how would I say, have my ancestors exposed to. I didn't feel like the work that I may be doing really resonated with being at an ancestor altar. So I decided, okay, well, I wanted to do a money altar because I love to have the energy of money and prosperity and abundance around me. And I felt like I don't necessarily want it at my ancestor altar. So I have a small little altar. And let me tell you what it is. It's basically one of those tray tables that you have, like a TV tray table that you eat on. It's one of those, and I have a round plate on there, and I have some Buddha figurines on there. I have money rice on there. I have ancestor money on there. So it is just a collection of things that resonate with me, that generate the energy of currency and money. So, and I keep it like in a little closet because my space is limited. So if you have limited space, you have to kind of get creative with your altars and not make them too big. And I put it in this closet, and that's where I keep my money altar. So I have an ancestor altar, and then I have a money altar, and then I personally work with moon energy. I work with the cycles of the moon when I'm trying to manifest things, or I'm trying to invoke energy into myself. I work with the moon. So I decided that I was going to have a moon altar. And for me, I felt like that particular altar would be best outside. So I also have a moon altar set up on my patio outside. And so when I want to go out and I want to do certain rituals with the moon, or just get the energy from the full moon or the new moon, I have my altar set up outside, particularly for work with the moon, because that's one of my chosen divinities and spiritual practices that I use. So you can have as many altars as you like for whatever purpose that you like, or you can have one sacred space, and it doesn't have to necessarily be an altar per se, but it's a designated space where you're going to come and do whatever spiritual work that you want to do in that particular area, in that particular space. So again, you don't have to have an altar. It's not going to change your spiritual practices. It's not going to change the energy that you put into whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, or your meditations, or whatever you're doing. It's not going to change any of that, because always the energy comes from with you. It comes from the higher power. It comes from whatever deity you're working with, the elements, your ancestors. It's coming from that. So you are the altar in yourself. But if you really want to, I don't want to say elevate, I would probably say if you want to just add some tools to your spirituality, I would suggest that you have an altar. And you decide what type of altar is best for you. You decide how many altars you want to have, and you decide where you want to place these altars. And again, an altar does not have to be this huge space. It does not have to be a huge area. You don't have to make like a big deal out of it, especially if you have limited space, living space. An altar can just be something. You can put an altar on your nightstand. You can put an altar on your dresser. You can put an altar on any little space that you may have. So it has nothing to do. The energy is going to be the same. The size of your altar does not matter. Just try it out. Whatever resonates with you, whatever you feel like you want to put on your altar, or how you want to design it, it is strictly up to you. So that's the only thing that I wanted to come into you and talk to you about altars. If you have any questions about altars, leave them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them as best as possible. If I don't know the answer, I will definitely get the answer for you, or let you know where you can go to get the answer from different resources. Again, like, share, subscribe to my page, my YouTube channel. I am also on Facebook and Instagram at Melanin Goddess Life. Go ahead and follow me on both those pages. Oh, and also I am doing a raffle, and the raffle is running now until next Sunday at 11:59 p.m. It is a money manifestation collection raffle. The products in there, I will show you a picture at the end of the video. The whole entire collection is valued at $38, and the raffle is only $5 per entry. So please, if you want to take part in this raffle, we have some wonderful products in there. Again, I'm going to leave a picture of them at the end, and just go to you can send your entry into either my Cash App or my PayPal, which I will put that information right here, and I will also put a picture of it at the end of this video. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. Peace, love, and light. Stay safe, stay happy, go out and do something fun and exciting, and I'll see you next time.